I'm going to share my thinking on the impact of AI on analytics now and in the near future. I'm focused on market research. I'll start by sharing some predictions and explaining how they were made. A little warning here, the rigor is a bit low. I'll discuss the dream that we all have, fully autonomous agents, and why it's a dream rather than a reality for the near term. Then we'll talk about what will change and how. I think we've currently realised a productivity gain of around 3% from AI. This is much bigger than most industries, and it's entirely due to AI for text data. In the next year or two, I think it'll jump quite a long way, up to about 15%. In about 5 years from now, I think we could be twice as productive. So I'm predicting quite a large change in our productivity in doing analysis. In about 15 years, it could get to around 200%. So how have I worked this out? Well, for those of you that have studied diffusion, you'll know I have a fairly generic diffusion curve. Often diffusion of new innovations takes this kind of shape. So I've just assumed it will. Like most smart people, maybe I'm just imitating, I did a survey among participants of webinars, quite like this one, so maybe a dodgy survey. I got these answers in April 2024. And if I do a little bit of recoding, it tells me that around 2.1% productivity is the gain we're getting April 2024. And I extrapolated that using the curve I showed you on the previous page to get to the 3% now. All major innovations have, by my estimation, at least doubled market researcher productivity. 150 years ago, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. It became popular in research in the 70s and 80s, so it took 100 years. About 90 years ago, Jerzy Neyman invented probability sampling. Now, some of you might not think of this as a productivity-gaining innovation, but it was huge. In 1936, the Literary Digest, a now defunct magazine, did a survey via mail for the 1936 US presidential election. They sent out around 10 million invitations and got a 23% response rate, which is amazing. The world's changed, hasn't it? With a final sample size of 2.3 million. And they got the result massively wrong. They predicted a landslide for a guy called Landon, who most of us had never heard of. When Roosevelt, who we did hear of, won in a landslide. So huge sample, wrong result. And the industry realised over the next 20 years or so that it was much better to have small samples carefully selected. So again, a massive productivity gain. Computers came along and they, over the next 30 years, greatly improved the processing of data. Massive productivity gain. The one that most of you will know about is the web browser, which came in 1993. And within about 10 years, it became the default way of doing data collection. In 2022, the large language models came around. Everybody really seems to agree that these will make a massive difference. Well, not everybody. The people who hate all technology also don't think these are going to work. But I think it's pretty well established by the pundits that these are going to have a massive effect. But it will be a slow effect. Yes, new technologies seem to be adopted faster than ever before. But based on previous innovations, it's going to take at least a decade before the large language models deliver all of the massive productivity growth that they have in store for us. We have a dream. The fancy name for the dream is fully autonomous agents. We want to be able to tell the AI to do something and have it go away and just get it done. We want it to be an awesome minion. One of the great tropes of tech is they said it would have flying cars, and all we got was iPhones. Or, more recently, Elon promised we'd have self-driving cars, much less ambitious than a flying car by 2018, but we don't. Going back to our jargon, a self-driving car is a fully autonomous agent. And despite billions of dollars investment and more than 10 years of work by some of the best minds in the world, we still don't have them. Why don't we have them? I recently gave ChatGPT's data analyst tool, I can barely pronounce that, data analyst tool, some analysis work to see if it had gotten to the stage where it would be a useful minion. I uploaded a very, very simple survey, much simpler than is used in real commercial work. It was asking about reasons for disliking Tom Cruise and some demographics. Let's have a little look at this report. Here's the prompt I gave it. I'll give you a moment to read it. The AI starts off pretty badly. It's garbled the first table. No idea what it's trying to do here. 5E. Anyway. But then it saves itself and it comes back with what looks a little more useful, some weird numbers on the left, which I still don't understand. But it's identified some key themes from the data, it seems to be, and they seem to make some kind of sense. It's created a chart. It's a nice shade of orange. That's pretty smart. Did all this in like 30 seconds, right? And then it comes up with these conclusions, which I'll give you a moment to read. I think that's a really impressive and compelling summary. I think the AI has done a pretty impressive job. How impressive? Well, as impressive as a dog playing the piano, to steal a line from Mad Men. Very impressive, not so useful. Now, I also analysed the Tom Cruise data in my own software. And out of respect for you, I won't try and turn this into a sales opportunity and show you how much better it did. But what I can tell you is it allowed me to spot that there was some pretty serious hallucinations in the results that ChatGPT gave me. So I had a follow-up conversation with ChatGPT. I'll give you a moment to read it. Now think about this. Most people haven't already analysed their data sets before using ChatGPT. The results kind of looked credible, didn't they? It was only because I'd analysed the data that I knew the results were wrong. There are two situations where we should use fully autonomous AI agents. The first is when the AI is error-free. The tech titans haven't got this working for cars, and it sure ain't working for data analysis. The second situation is where it's easiest to spot errors in the work of AI, and it's okay if there are errors. Now, the classic example of this is the chatbot. It gives a bad answer, the user re-asks the question. Now, as market researchers, how many of you have stakeholders who are okay if there are errors in the reporting? I only spotted the error because I'd analyze the data the old-fashioned way. If we have to analyze data manually and then use the AI, it'll make us slower, not faster. So we can't have the AI doing all of our analysis yet. And we're not close to having the problems fixed. Hallucinations, as everybody knows, are a problem, but there's a couple of other big ones here too. User requests are vague and imprecise, preventing AI from understanding them. Humans are much better at understanding vague things than computers are. And even more problematically, the internet contains very few examples of professional grade market research analysis. So the AI hasn't been trained analyzing data in general at all. So what's going to happen in the near future? For the time being, our productivity gains will come via close collaboration with AI. Now, AI has some great skills. It's great at pattern recognition. It's great at applying patterns to new data. For example, translation type tasks, working out if particular text fits an existing code in a code frame. And it does all this stuff amazingly fast. But we're still better at some important stuff. We're much better than AI at drawing conclusions, good conclusions from very small amounts of data. For example, that's how we can spot hallucinations, whereas the AI still struggles. Better than it was a year ago, but still struggles. We're social animals, and that allows us to acquire a whole lot of contextual knowledge, which is really relevant. For example, what the client expects in the report. And we've got fine motor skills. It's surprising that for all the strengths of the AI, simple things like washing fine china or glassware or driving a car are still beyond it. All these illustrations were also done by my wonderful colleague Claudia because I can't get the AI to do these types of illustrations. So what is the future going to look like? In the longest of runs, we all know, we talked about it before, the AI does everything, we get to lie on the beach, unless we're killed. By the AI, that is. I think we're about 100 years away, at least, from AI doing everything. And in about 10 years, though, it'll start to be able to do a real lot of research for us really well. The AI will be doing most of the work. It's going to design the research. It's going to figure out a whole lot of clever stuff. What will we be doing? Well, we're going to be giving more precise questions to the AI. And we're going to have to fix the AI, and we'll still be doing things that the AI can't do. What about 5 to 100 years away? Well, it looks a little bit like what we just looked at. There's a whole lot of things that the AI is going to be able to do, but we're going to have to be giving much more instructions to the AI. What about in the short term? Well, I think we're not that far away, but I can't tell you if it's 1 in 10 years from having the AI design the whole research process, at least give us a draft and give us draft recommendations. We're going to be doing the same kind of things we talked about above, but spending much more time checking and tweaking instructions. Still going to have to do a lot of the manual data collection work. What about today? Well, hopefully you know what's happening today. It's useful for ideation, coaching us through all stages of the research process. It's wonderful with text, image, and voice analysis, image and stimulus creation, secondary research. These are all of the things that we currently have to do. And we still have to be quantitative and qualitative researchers. So what will the next few years look like? As we speak, two big changes are occurring in how we collaborate with our software. First, the software is becoming more helpful. We use AI at the moment to create some of our more advanced technical warnings, for example. While they're useful, it's not a great experience. The next level will be that AI will help analysts do things rather than just telling you things. This has already started. It's going to pick up speed a lot. And Shortly after, hopefully in the next year or so, it'll start to do things for us, and we get to review them and approve them, like a pretty good minion, but not the whole report, just little things. The other big change will be with natural language user interfaces. So a bit of jargon here. A natural language user interface is one where the user types what they want in normal language and the software just does it. For many years, there have been tools that you could instruct in Pidgin English. At Displayr, we haven't implemented these as they don't really save time, as nobody has the words for the fine-tuned control needed for real data analysis. But we're fast approaching the stage we'll be able to give more general instructions. We hope to launch this year. And once it works well, the next step will be getting it to upload a whole lot of data, a whole lot of context, what we want things to look like, a whole lot of research questions, and then giving it these general type questions, but not expecting it to do it all, just expecting it to do a draft. That is the future that I see.
Thanks, Tim.